What if you had a clear understanding about 5 common misconceptions about that people have about solar and batteries? What I'm about to go over may or may not resonate with you. It might not. I'm just about to go over some real beliefs and misconceptions that people have about solar and batteries, and the questions you can ask yourself to possibly help to form a fresh perspective about possible next steps that you could take when it comes to seeing how solar and batteries might be able to help you. So, the first and most common misconception is this: solar and batteries just seems like it's too expensive for me. Related ones, where it just doesn't seem like it's not that, it just doesn't seem like it's worth it. It just seems like I can't afford it. It's like, it's just not going to get my money back from it. It takes too long to get my money back. So we hear those a lot, and we totally get it. So I want to focus on the too expensive. So a lot of people feel like getting their own electricity generation on site with the storage as well is some big decision where they feel like they either have to invest thousands of dollars up front or push it down the road when they have more savings. When in reality, that's not the case. Personally, if I hadn't considered what the long-term cost of continuing to pay for electricity bills for 5 years, 10 years, or longer, without noticing the increases in the price of electricity each year, I'd also say it's too expensive. So it might be easier to show you what the rate hikes have actually been. So this first news headline from 3 years ago from the New Daily shows um, how AGL and Origin increased their electricity prices by up to 30%. So two of the big three electricity retailers that a lot of people have that get their electricity bills from, they increased their prices by up to 30% 3 years ago. So you can find that yourself online. Next one I want to show is this tariff tracking project from St. Vincent de Paul's, Vinnie's. So these lines here in this chart show how the electricity prices for a typical home that uses 6,000 units of electricity per year. The units are called kilowatt hours, kWh, how they've increased. So, for example, for the blue line, the dark blue line, New South Wales, they've gone from $1,400 per year up to about $2,700 per year from 2009 to 2023. So they've almost doubled over 14 years, and this is for a typical electricity bill from the regulated standing offers. So the default offers, and you might be able to get a lower annual bill by switching to a different retailer, but you can get some savings, but it's not a huge amount, not a drastic difference. This one here I want to go show is there's two electricity bills here. One is from 1991. They're both from the same person. His name is Simi. So he published a separate video on YouTube about this. But this one in 1991, you can see he only had 2 charges back then. And the reason there were 2 charges is because it's from April to July, so from one financial year to the other. So you can see there was a rate increase of 3 cents during that time. So, but you can see that he was charged $280 for the quarter. This was in 1991, and so if you look at what $280 would have bought you in 1991 to compared to today, there's quite a difference. You can use the RBA inflation calculator for that. If I plug it in here, so a basket of goods and services valued at $280.95 back in 1991 would in calendar year cost, in calendar year 2023 would cost, we're in 2026 now, would cost $637. So that's a 126% increase over 32 years, or annual increase of 2.6%. Okay. Now, coming back to this, if we fast forward, so his average rate was about 9.8 cents per kilowatt hour, which I calculated in these comments. This is all available in a Google Photos album. So yeah, you can see that here. That's his average electricity rate in 1991, 9.82 cents per kilowatt hour. And then if we look at his 2023 bill, instead of there only being 2 charges, there's about 10 different charges. So just goes to show how complicated electricity bills have gotten. So again, this one was from June to July 2023. So it shows the rate hikes from one financial year to the next. So you can see that the rates went up from 30 cents to 40 cents, so it's quite a jump. And the daily supply charges went from $1.26 to $1.76. That's for general use. And then there was another charge of 14.85 cents. I'm not sure why that was there, but it was. And he also had a controlled load charge for his hot water of 14.9 cents per kilowatt hour, which went up to 17.3. So again, all the rates increased. His solar credits, he did get some 6.7 cents. This was back in 2023. Now they're more like 4 cents per kilowatt hour. And he only got $7.66 for the credits for his solar exports that he sent back to the grid. That wasn't used in his home. So the way solar works is it first goes to the home first, anything that's on in the home, and then any excess will go back to the grid, and you can get a credit for that. But those credits have been going down every year. So again, in 2023, they were about 6.7 cents per kilowatt hour. Now they're more like 4 or 5 or even less, typically. So again, there's about 10 charges, and when I worked it out, the sum of the charges works out to be about, for the usage, $82.90. So he was charged $82.90 for the electricity that he used, but in total he was charged $130 because of the daily charges as well. And then he used 300 kilowatt hours of electricity. This is over 30 days. And so when you divide the $82 by 300 kilowatt hours, you get 27.5 cents. That's compared to 10 cents per kilowatt hour back in 1991. However, that rate is not accounting for the daily supply charges as well. So when we factor those in, so if we add the daily charges and the electricity charges, then we get $138. And then divide that by 300 kilowatt hours that he used, it's 46.1 cents per kilowatt hour. So compare that to 9.82 cents per kilowatt hour back in 1991. It's a 361% increase over 32 years, which works out to be about 11.3% on average per year. That's compounded. So, um, yeah, so you can see, you know, Simi didn't call up the electricity companies asking them to raise his rates. They just did it every year. So that's what happened. And there's a few more charts. This one compares to inflation, so you can see the prices have risen more compared to general inflation. And again, if we looked at here, um, so comparing, so it was a 11% increase per year compared to general inflation has been about 2.6%. So it's about over 4 times higher per year the rate in the increase of electricity compared to the costs in general inflation over that time. So most people come to us because they want to spend less on their electricity, not more. So, and most people also look at solar and batteries because they want to lower their electricity bills and keep them low over time, and maybe also use more electricity without getting overcharged to do so. So they don't have to like cut back and sweat it out in summer and rug up in winter. So would that possibly be also motivations for you as well to do the same? And what would have to happen to make taking the next steps with looking at this a no-brainer for you when it comes to actually taking the time to look at solar panels and batteries and possibly getting it for your home if it looks like it made sense to do so? And to be frank, it doesn't always work out. Some homes aren't eligible. There are multiple factors that can determine that. Um, but yeah, what would have to happen to just take a moment to look at it? Typically, the time it takes to meet with people can take 30 to 40 minutes if they don't have many questions. To be frank, sometimes it can take a bit longer if getting into a conversation. But yeah, 30 to 45 minutes is all it would be really required to go over how we can possibly help you with your home with your electricity. So it's not really much, and then there are common misconceptions that I will continue to go over. But if you feel comfortable to take some time to book some time to speak with us, feel free to do so. You can contact me directly if you have my contact details, or contact the company. You can go to electrifyingaustralia.com.au to get in touch with us. So I'll continue to go over more common misconceptions that people have. So number 2. Actually, before that, I'll show you one more thing, which is Rob's electricity bills. So if we look at that, 1 second. Yeah, so this is a little bit about how we helped Rob. So at the end of June in 2025, he had $1,211 in credit that he could withdraw to his bank account. So that was after 8 months of having his solar panels and batteries installed. So you can see here we installed a 19.2 kilowatt hour SunGrow battery and a 17.1 kilowatt solar system. That's a larger solar system. The reason we went larger is because there was some shade from trees around his home, and we installed optimizers to offset for that. The other reason we went for a larger system is that in winter, he's located in Canberra, so there's less sunshine, and the winter bill is typically has the highest usage in a colder climate because of heating in the evening. And it's the same, the winter bill is the same, is typically the highest in Sydney as well. So we installed a larger system for him. He wanted that because that it could generate more electricity in winter to be able to have less reliance on drawing electricity from the grid for the long term and possibly getting overcharged if he had to depend on that. So yeah, that was the main rationale. So prior to for us installing his system, he spent about $1,515 over 6 months from May to October 2023. And then again at the end of June 2023, he had $1,211 in credit for that period, which works out to be about $250 a month in avoided bill savings monthly, and additional $150 monthly credits or payouts, with annual savings when you add them up, $400 a month works out to be $4,800 a year. And then if we extrapolate that out over 10 years, over the long term, if we can be conservative with inflation of 2 to 5% a year, even though they've been 11% a year, his savings would work out to be around $59,000 to $68,000 over 10 years. That's assuming his electricity usage stays about the same, and also the wholesale rates stay, in line with those inflation rates. But yeah, that's generally what can be expected in line with the long-term increases in the price of electricity. That leads me to the next misconception, which is, it sounds too good to be true. And it's natural to feel that way when encountering anything that sounds promising. But I guess, first of all, where do you feel that attitude comes from? Could it possibly come from someone that never really took action to be able to do more things, to take more opportunities in life, and have more control and independence? But it is naturally a common misconception and common doubt that people can have about anything that looks promising. But you can really substantiate it for yourself. You don't have to take my word for it by Googling it. So Rob, he switched to Amber, and yeah, so there's plenty of people that have provided reviews publicly about the savings that they've got with Amber, for example, on YouTube and X and other channels. So you can check that out for yourself. I've personally put together some information. I'll see if I'll pull it up for you. So if you scan this QR code here, it will take you to a page where you can find out more information that I've personally put together about Amber, but there's plenty of third-party independent sources that this contains. You might already have access to this page here, bit.ly/m/jrsolar, and that also contains a link to this page here. And you can also access it if you go to bit-ly/energy ownership, which will take you to this Google Doc here. It contains plenty more information. Another very common misconception people have is when they say they look at the upfront amount for solar panels and they're just not aware that there's another avenue where instead of paying money up front for it, they can just redirect the funds that they're spending on their electricity anyway. We call it a bill to ownership program, where they just use that money they spend on their electricity anyway to put towards owning their own electricity with the panels and batteries, rather than continuing to pay for for bills for year after year after year for the rest of their lives. So with that program, after a few years, the bills stop and they don't have any bills anymore, no electricity bills, no bill to ownership bills to pay off the panels and batteries. So it just enables them to own their electricity like how you would for if you bought a home rather than renting it forever. Because I mean, when you bought your home, did you pay cash up front for it, or did you take out a loan for it? Most people take out a loan, right? Especially if it's their first time buying. So I'm guessing that was the case for you. Because why didn't you just rent for the rest of your life? I mean, why take out a loan when you didn't actually have to? You probably said because renting would cost more money over the long term. And that's exactly right. And it's exactly the case as well for when it comes to having a bill to ownership, to applying for that, for solar, to get solar panels and batteries, versus continuing to rent electricity. And what I mean by renting is continuing to pay for electricity for bill after bill for the rest of your life with all the rate hikes each year. So I hope that makes sense. Because if you consider that all debt is really just an obligation, people say that, oh, I don't want to go into debt. And because right now, how long is someone obligated to keep paying for electricity bills for the rest of their life, right? So can you see the difference with being able to own your electricity, pay it off in a few years, versus just continuing to pay for your electricity for the rest of your life? Okay. Which leads me to another question, which is what happens if you just keep doing that? Like with your current setup, you have to keep getting your electricity from the old wooden poles and wires with the aging power stations that are getting retired. I mean, what kind of a financial position is that going to put you in for the long term compared to people that are able to own their electricity and that are spending far less on it? I mean, can you see the difference? So I'm not saying we could yet, but let's say you were able to eliminate your electricity bills permanently and possibly get negative bills instead of bills. I guess how would you see that really helping you the most? And what would that do for you personally to be able to do that? So we've covered 3 misconceptions so far. 1, too expensive. 2, what was it? Sounds too good to be true. Number 3, uh, I don't want to go into debt. So I hope I've addressed those clearly. If you've got any questions, let me know. There are 2 more that I wanted to cover off. So the next one would be, just doesn't seem like it would save that much. Well, I hope I've already addressed that, giving that case study of Rob, how he was not only able to eliminate his electricity bill, but also be able to put them in credit. And also just be able to use more electricity without getting overcharged for it. Another misconception would be, so this will be the last one, which would be, I've had a bad experience and just I want to avoid it happening to me again. So I think I'm just gonna stay with my current electricity plan with my current company and just continue to get electricity from them because I don't want to get into it, have another bad experience. It's kind of sad that that happened because I'd like to know more about what actually happened with that experience, because there have been some companies that cut corners on the quality. Um, they cut corners with the reliability of the products, with the installation quality, with the level of customer support, and obviously that leads to more issues down the road. So that's why we we focus on avoiding those issues from cropping up in the first place. And that's one big reason why people come to us, because they're looking to get something that's going to be reliable and last for the long term. I mean, imagine you went to a restaurant, had a bad experience at that restaurant, and then you said, I'm never going to eat it out again. I mean, if not saying you would do that, but let's say someone said that, we'd probably laugh at that person, right? Because, I mean, not all restaurants are bad, right? It's just like, it's like throwing all restaurants out just because of one bad experience. I mean, it's like that with anything. There's always going to be good and bad. The main thing is to avoid having a bad experience in the first place by doing due diligence to make sure that the same thing won't happen again. See how that works? Okay, so I hope this has been helpful, and just so you know, the purpose of this video isn't just to be talking for 26 minutes at you, but it's more designed to ask certain questions to help you to see a different perspective rather than getting, pitched. So if you have found value from this, then feel free to leave a comment below. You can, go over, you can mention perhaps what you found particularly to be helpful. And again, if you would like to take the next steps with possibly looking at how you might be able to benefit from getting solar panels and batteries, then feel free to contact me if you have my contact details, or contact the company Electrifying Australia. Alright, you should be able to use the link that I shared earlier. I'll just show it again. Okay, so here it is. So this link, bit.ly/m/jrsolar, I'll share a QR code. That will take you to this page. On this page, there's a link to our website. There's a link to this video. I'm going to update this with this current video that I'm shooting in just a moment. And you can use this link here to book a discovery call with me if you haven't had one, or to book the next steps, which would be a site visit, an in-home visit. And then you can also self-assess your electricity with this questionnaire here. This is one of our awards. This is a good video here about some things to look out for when it comes to looking at solar panels, looking at batteries, home batteries. And then just some information here about Amber. And again, this is a link to the document that I already shared. So this particular link will take you to this video here, which has more information about Amber. And that's is there anything else? This is a sign up form that you can use to switch to Amber. It's probably best to wait until after you get a battery. You could switch before. Some people without solar panels and batteries can save more if they're able to be more mindful of their usage, and especially if they can use more during the day and less at night, because the wholesale electricity prices can go low or even negative in the middle of the day and then higher at night. But because Amber doesn't make a profit off of how much electricity you use and how much you send back to the grid, you could end up saving more anyway, regardless, because there's no profit again of how much they make. And then these are some reviews from some of our customers. Alright, well, that's all I really had to go over. Again, you can book a call with me using that link that I just shared. And again, if you've got questions, leave a comment, or you can book a call to ask questions with me. And make sure if you do have questions, to have them prepared for when we discuss, when we meet. All right, take care. All the best.